After a break, 911 Season 9 Episode 11, Going Once, Going Twice returns the show. Although a lot happens in the episode, not much actually happens. It's strange because one would assume that after an hour filled with Christopher's kidnapping, a LAFD bachelor auction, and a vehicle accident involving one of our own, everything would be going smoothly. Rather, it's one of those hours when a lot happens but little of it emotionally remains. The show no longer feels like appointment television because of this persistent issue that has been plaguing 911 recently. We already like these characters, therefore we love seeing them interact. So this wasn't an awful episode. However, neither this hour nor most of the recent hours were very beneficial. Rather, it seems as though we've simply returned to the status quo, which the program finds acceptable. I used to look forward to this show every week during the previous season. I'm not sure if that's still the case. Additionally, this episode contains some highlights. Thank God, Eddie and Maddie are finally interacting. Is there a connection between May and Ravi? I have a steak. Give that to me, please. Overall, though, I feel like I'm gathering crumbs rather than savoring a satisfying dinner. It feels like the kind of procedural that doesn't even recognize it needs to course correct. Even yet, this isn't the only one I've ever seen go into cruise control and refuse to budge. And it might be an issue. Chris hasn't had an emotionally compelling narrative in a long time. I'm not including the moment he had in the Dia de Muertos episode because it was just that, a moment, and even the one he did get last season didn't work out for everyone. Chris and Eddie only had 2 brief happy moments. Additionally, I am aware that filming with younger actors is always more difficult, and that the program must work around availability concerns. However, Chris was a vital component of Eddie's life when we started this program, and now he feels like an afterthought. In that sense, the plot of this hour isn't really helpful, primarily because it isn't one, and if it is, it concerns Abigail rather than Eddie or Chris. At least the show was consistent enough to have Eddie call Buck when he felt Chris was missing, because Eddie would, and that before, Eddie was stockpiling all the information about Buck at past bachelor auctions because Chris would want to know. That's the only redeeming feature of the plot. Requesting a few buddies and me. For what causes did we lose Bobby and Athena? Something like stakes. Even Hen and Karen, who have been together for long, had to endure the cheating scandal that we all like to forget ever occurred. Our favorite couple is Chim and Maddie, but when we do get to see them together, the most of their recent tales have featured children. Yes, that is a natural part of being a parent, but this is a television program. We'd also like to see the romance. There are also Buck and Eddie, who are completely incapable of keeping up a romantic relationship with anyone else. And Alex doesn't even appear to be a ally for Eddie. Not that we wanted that. However, at this point, we're not sure if they will ever get the chance to try a romantic relationship with each other, which makes the most sense for a number of reasons. There hasn't been a genuine romantic interest for Harry. Well, there's Ravi. Or is there? What this show hopes to accomplish, there is unclear. Or if we'll only receive crumbs of it here and there, or if we'll see it truly blossom. This episode's topic of transition is a bit out of place. It's reasonable that Buck doesn't want to be sexualized anymore. It's also reasonable that Hen doesn't want to return to a profession that might have an impact on her health. However, it turns out that Hen only needed a reminder of how much she loves her profession, while Buck is simply worried about the fact that he is getting older. And I understand that those things might occur. However, it conveys the idea that these characters are unchanged and will never change. Actual change, is a myth. Buck, though, is malleable. Hen is malleable, and we may become different people as a result of such changes. It's all right. Over the course of 9 seasons, these 2 characters have each undergone significant change. However, this episode seems to focus more on why things shouldn't change than on how individuals can adjust to the fact that change is a necessary part of life. However, the final voiceover makes a different promise.